Next, we're going to go to another map. So, like I said, you're going to see some more of these maps on here. Um, if you need any help with this kind of stuff, you can always go to our website, opendoorsspokane.com, and get some one-on-one tutoring, get some packets to study, um, any extra information you need. You can also get copies of these that I'm going through right here. So on this one, it's percentage of undernourished people worldwide, meaning people that don't get enough to eat. So if you look at the key, here's your key. There will always be a key in your map, and that'll kind of tell you what the data in the map means. According to the map, what is a percentage range of people in the United States, who do not get enough food and nutrients? So if you look at this, here's North America, United States is right here. Up here you have Canada, Mexico. The United States is a section right here. So if you look at the key, 0 to 4% don't get enough nutrition. So compared to every place else, that's a pretty low amount. So according to the map, what is the percentage? Pretty straightforward. The dotted line, the little dots here are 0 to 4%. Your answer is A. Next one, which of the following statements is supported by the information on the map? So looking at this map as a whole, what information is supported in these questions? So all areas with more than 35% of the population undernourished are inland nations. So let's see, so the dark black filled in here, 35 to 73% of their people don't get enough food. So you look at this, so these are coastal nations along here. This is coastal. Then you have a couple inland here and an inland there. But for the most part, your inland nations and coastal nations are either even, or you have more in the coastal regions, because this is a coastal island. Here's another coastal, and then coastal. So for the most part, that's not a true statement. World hunger would disappear if food were distributed more fairly. Okay, the map says nothing about that. There's just no information. That would be more from like an essay or something like that, but there's really no information in this map to back up that. There are no areas of hunger in Europe or Australia. That's incorrect, because you look in Europe, there is definitely some areas of hunger in here. Australia, even though it says 0 to 4%, there could be 3%, 2%. We don't have enough information for that. So the answer is D. Hunger is a major problem in many countries in Africa. And you look, Africa has the most countries with the highest rate of malnutrition. So that is the one that is supported by this map. So questions 20 through 22 refer to this chart. So important political documents preceding the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution. So these came before the Declaration of Independence and before the U.S. Constitution. So what do the Mayflower Compact and the Great Fundamentals have in common? So it's important to note that it's in common, because they are asking what they have that is the same. So if you read these, you're going to look at, so the Magna Carta, and you really only have to look at the Magna Carta and the Great Fundamentals, these two right here and here. So it's the Magna Carta limited the power of the English king and granted rights to the nobles. Established the first basic system of laws in the English colonies and Massachusetts Bay Colony. So what do they have in common? So this one doesn't say anything about the limiting the power of the king, just this one does. Both granted rights to the nobles. This one says nothing about granting rights to the nobles, only the Magna Carta does. Both establish methods of self-government in English colonies. So we look, limited the power of the English king, and this established the basic system of laws in the English colonies. So your answer is going to be C, because both of them have to do with government, self-government. and not so much nobles or anything like that. And then both apply to the government of England. They don't. They don't have anything to do with really England. They're about the U.S. colonies, or the will be the American colonies. So then we go up to 22. Which document first set limits on the British monarch's powers? So looking at this, it limited the power of the English king and granted rights to the nobles. Okay, that one does definitely limit the king and the monarch, so the king is the monarch's powers. This one talks about self-government. This one limits the king's powers further, but this one wants to know which first set limits. So we're going to say the Magna Carta. The next one, the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s inspired historians to reinterpret slavery's impact on U.S. society in general and on African Americans in particular. One interpretation that emerged was that slaves and owners were always in conflict and that slavery was destructive. The extent of slavery's destructiveness was debated, meaning it was people went back and forth on how destructive it really was. Some historians argued that slavery destroyed the culture and self-respect of the slaves and their descendants, while others thought that slaves overcame hardships by developing a unique African American culture that included, among different things, strong religious and musical traditions. Based on the paragraph, which of the following statements is an option, or is an opinion rather than a fact? So, which one in here isn't an actual stated fact? So, civil rights movement took place during the middle of the 20th century, took place in the 50s and 60s. Obviously, that's right in the middle of the 20th century, so that one is correct. So that one is a fact. The civil rights movement caused historians to take another look at slavery. Says that right there. It is a fact. Historians debated slavery's negative effects on slaves and their descendants. That is a fact. We know that they debated it. So your answer is going to be D, that slavery destroyed the culture of the slaves, because it's an opinion. It's not factual. It's one guy's opinion compared to another historian's opinion. So there's no actual fact on that one stated in this argument.